All right, hi everybody. Looks like we got a lot of people online here, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Some people might keep shuffling in, but we'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and do introductions. I'm Angie Martell, PPACG Environmental Planner, and we'll go in the room and then online.
Jessica Cooper from Fort Carson.
Kenzie Courtney, PPACG, Air Quality Outreach.
And online?
Yes, this is Kevin Teagarden, Senior Planning Analyst with Mountain Metro Transit.
Victoria Chavez, El Paso County.
Good afternoon, Chris Welch, Colorado Springs Utilities.
Melinda Norris, Air Quality Program Manager at Peterson.
Bob Tomlinson, Environmental Quality Chief at Peterson.
Wayne Dominguez and Amanda Brandon with El Paso County Public Health.
CV Milarengo with the Air Pollution Control Division.
I think that's everybody online. Yeah, that looks like it. All right, thanks everybody. So we'll go ahead and jump into the agenda here. Andy Gunning, our executive director, is planning to come, so we may interrupt when he gets here. All right, so first thing is our committee scope and purpose. We started talking about this draft document back in January. We had a presentation last month in February from Dina on our air quality situation. So this is a continuation really from January. So that draft document, where we left off was everyone, as far as I understood, was happy with it, and we wanted to start doing some outreach to get buy-in from potential new members. So with that, a few updates. I'll get into the outreach, but just some background on where we've been since then. So we've been talking to our board about potentially transitioning the AQTC into more of a working group. And that just makes it a little, less formal. We don't have voting members. And then also talking about making sure that we have the right people on the AQTC, people that have some air quality experience or at least related experience, can help develop strategies for implementation on air quality, and can actually and are interested in helping with that implementation. I'm the only air quality planner at PPACG, and this is a regional issue, and we need regional buy-in and assistance to make progress. So we've had that conversation with our board, and that's where we are with transitioning the group to more of a working group. So with that, I have been doing some soft outreach. Andy just walked in, so I know that he doesn't have the same context, but I'm going to turn it over to Andy for just a brief moment, just to give a short update on the conversations we've had with the board regarding transitioning to a working group and bringing the right people into the AQTC. Do I put you on the spot too much for that?
Still catching my breath. Might be able to use some help from Jared as well. We can maybe kind of both kind of walk through this, but we had on our board agenda earlier this month, I think it was in March, initial conversation about restructuring and coming up with a new set up a new type of committee that we're calling, I think, a work group, basically. And we've got this in mind for a couple of different committees under the PPACG structure. And we were thinking that that might work well for the air quality committee, just to kind of give it a little more flexibility, let it be a little bit more targeted toward what it is we're trying to do. I think some of the basic differences between that and another other standing committees is that instead of appointments being made formally by our board, they would ideally give us the latitude to identify who the key stakeholders are that we want to get around the table as we talk about air quality solutions. For our group here, it wouldn't have an official chair that that y'all would elect on a regular basis. Not that we've had one for a while, but we thought let's formalize it in the sense that it's sort of a staff-led effort, getting the right stakeholders around the table, and let us be a little bit more, I guess, focused and constructive with our time. Jotted down a couple of thoughts around criteria for membership, and I know it's sort of spelled out a little bit in the background material that we have for the meeting today. But as Angie and I were talking about this the other day, I was thinking kind of criteria, I guess, for the right stakeholders to get around the table would be, folks that are part of the group already. But if you hit one of the three main kind of buckets, in my mind, I was thinking it might make sense for using that as guidance for who else we want to get at the table. But first one would be if you've got particular knowledge that supports our work. Could either be technical knowledge, but we don't want folks intimidated by that, thinking they need to have technical depth of knowledge around air quality issues. You could have also policy knowledge around air quality issues. So if you have specific knowledge that can help the work that we're doing, that would be helpful. The second criteria would be, or if you have the ability to help us identify strategies for emissions reductions, have an interest in that space, that would be helpful as well. And then the third one would be if you have the ability to actually implement strategies for emission reduction activities, that might be another kind of a third strategy that we would look for, or a third criteria, I guess, that we would look for. Let me see, what else? We give us a little bit more flexibility, like I said. I think we've got a list in the memo that identifies different types of folks, different stakeholders. Thinking about maybe some more business interest around, or some business interest around the table. Representatives from the Chamber of Commerce, if they have the bandwidth and capacity to help out in this regard, major employers in the region, things like that. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Just want to make sure that we can maybe kind of shake things up a little bit and make sure we're getting the right stakeholders that can really help us identify those strategies that would help us as we're trying to further our work. So did that help? So and what I'll mention as well, we haven't gotten the go ahead yet from our board. We agreed to bring it back at a subsequent meeting. I think we're looking at probably skipping April, but come back in May to try to get some more clarity and get direction from the board that they want to definitely go in this direction. So it works out well as we have conversations with folks here. Just want to see if we're on the right track or not, or if you have other suggestions that we should consider.
Thanks, Andy. So, yeah, I see a hand up and I was going to open up to questions. So go ahead.
Hi, Andy. It's Victoria. Can you tell us a little bit about what the board thought about the mission and direction of the work group?
I would say, good question, Victoria. Generally supportive, understood it, want us to be able to have flexibility and use people's time constructively, be a little bit more targeted in what the needs are. The two examples that we gave as far as committees that we thought that this could really kind of lend itself to was the air quality group and also our mobility coordinating committee, and kind of restructuring that group as well to make it more where we get the right operators around the table and coordinate on operational types of needs. So trying to find ways to just make better use of everybody's time that has an interest in those areas that we're trying to improve upon. But I would say, and Jared, maybe help me out, I thought there was some general interest, general support. They got a little bit hung up on the mobility coordinating committee. That's kind of what kept it from moving forward, I think. At the March meeting, didn't have the same level of concern with the air quality group, but they thought we could get some higher level folks, policy related discussions for mobility coordinating efforts that we're involved with as well, which hasn't been our experience. We've had a hard time getting the right people around the table for that group. But Jared, anything else?
And I'll just kind of throw in there, Victoria. I'll just use the example that we have on the screen. With all these people who we want to be part of the AQTC. In order to do this would require a bylaws change, would require all these to be subject to board approval. By moving towards a more working group mentality, it allows us, as Andy said, be more flexible, be more nimble. This would not impact the committees that are either required by federal regulations. I'm thinking specifically for your experience, TAC, for example, but also like our RAC on the aging side. Let's see, RAC water quality is as required by state, and then CAC serves a function with our transportation needs. And so the board would still approve the scope of the committee and the purpose of the committee, but beyond that, it would be up to staff then to determine who should be invited. These would still be public meetings just because of policy does come out of this group. It would go through our committee structure, and part of that discussion was we would assign essentially each of these working groups a committee, a formal committee, and for air quality that would feed into the TAC just because there is overlap between transportation and air quality specifically. That's pretty much it. Andy covered the rest of it pretty well. We wouldn't exactly have a quote unquote official roster. We'd have people who we invite and people who we want to have at the table, but it would be, if you're able to make it, we would definitely encourage you to do so. But it would allow us to be more flexible in terms of coordinating with members who are active in the committee, rather than having to go through the multi-step process of a board approval. And if it's a jurisdictional appointment, we have 16 members and there are 16 different processes out there for doing that.
Other questions on that change?
Did that help, Victoria?
So it did, but I'm actually more interested in what the board thought about the mission. I don't care whether it's a committee or a task force or whatever, but did they talk at all about the mission and any thoughts on that?
I would say not specifically, but we should flag that for them and do a little bit of education because, quite frankly, had quite a bit of turnover. So with a lot of new blood on there, we've actually talked about maybe doing a briefing with the board at their next meeting in April around air quality related issues. Air quality awareness week is coming up in May, so we'll probably talk about that later in this agenda. But yeah, just to give them a little bit of background that we do have this committee in place, that we're trying to identify, emission reduction strategies and so forth, but that we as a body, PPACG, we don't have any ability to compel folks to do anything. So it's all these individual folks that are part of this work group that are able to do things within their sphere to reduce emissions and so forth, like the county and the city and CSU and our all installations and others. So we're sort of a convening body in that respect. So we probably need to have that conversation with the board next time, maybe next month when we do the air quality briefing, but also when we have the committee discussion again in May, just to make sure that they're clear on what the scope and what the mission is of all the different committees we have here.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no specific questions on sort of the restructuring, jump into the outreach that is associated with that and getting more folks on board. So in this scope and purpose document, there's a list of specific organizations that we are interested in involving on the AQTC. I also sent this out in a spreadsheet to the AQTC, looking for suggestions on specific organizations to reach out to that represent these individual groups. So I don't know everyone in the region, and I need your help identifying who exactly should we reach out to. So for example, public health interest group, I have American Lung Association. Business interest group, we have major employers. Environmental interest group, I have a couple of that I have thought of, but I'm interested in getting feedback from AQTC on specific organizations we should reach out to, and then with that, hoping that the AQTC can help with doing some of that soft outreach. I provided a draft letter that you could use to do some outreach. Obviously, tailor it to your unique voice, but that's just to get you started. But I also think that if we're inviting people and you have more of a relationship with any of these groups in any way, personally or professionally, the invitation would sound better coming from a more personal contact. If you don't have a personal contact and you just have a suggestion for an organization who you think should be involved, feel free to send that my way and we'll see what I can do. But so I'll stop there. Any suggestions on organizations? And is anyone interested in helping with doing this outreach?
This is Katie Helm. I can reach out to UCCS.
That'd be great. Thank you. Do you want to just let me know who you're gonna reach out to there?
Yeah, I can copy you in the email if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be good in general because whoever would probably need to contact me at some point anyway.
Okay.
We may need some time to think about who your individual contacts are and who you might be able to reach out to, but would really appreciate some assistance with at least identifying organizations, if not helping with some of the outreach.
Sorry, I'm kind of going backwards on this. Fountain Transit, that also falls under the city, so I can connect you with the representative from that department as well.
That'd be great.
Sorry, I was whispering to Angie. Yeah, if folks could just reach back out to Angie and let her know after you've had a chance to kind of think about who your contacts are and who you're comfortable reaching out to, just coordinate with Angie so we can kind of keep things moving forward.
Great. Thanks everyone for help on that. And thank you, Katie, for those suggestions. Some others have also given me some suggestions, so I do appreciate that. All right. No other comments on that. Then I will move on to Air Quality Awareness Week. Okay, so we have started planning for Air Quality Awareness Week, which is May 5 through 9. I gave an overview on that event at one of our previous meetings, but for those that aren't aware, it's an event that's typically led by the EPA. It lasts for a full week in May. This year, it's May 5 through 9. And how that works is they typically identify themes for each day of the week that correlate with a different air quality topic. This year, we're working really closely with CDPHE on that planning. They are planning on doing a proclamation with Governor Polis, and they'll be doing a news release announcing Air Quality Awareness Week as well. PPACG is going to be bringing a proclamation to our board in April to acknowledge Air Quality Awareness Week. And I believe some others that I've coordinated with are going to take on the AQTC are going to take our proclamation and do their own news releases. So that's one outlet for getting the information out. The themes, just to let everyone know that we've identified with CDPHE, Monday is local air quality programs and opportunities. So like our local initiatives. Tuesday is air pollution and health. This also correlates with World Asthma Day, which is something that happens every year. It just happens to land on that week, which is nice. Wednesday is air quality actions. So that's anything, voluntary actions you can do personally to influence air quality. So that also correlates with Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day, which happens every year. So we took advantage of that opportunity. and we are partnering with Kids on Bikes to bring another school into their Walk, Bike, and Roll event. They kind of lead the event with different schools around our region. So PPACG is going to help bring another school on board and assist with that event. We're also making air quality information for them to distribute to all the kids that are participating in Walk, Bike, and Roll. So we'll distribute that at that event. And then on the Wednesday air quality actions, we're also partnering with Mountain Metro Transit to do a tabling event to spread information on taking the bus. And we're targeting sort of those non-choice riders. And we're going to deliver some air quality education handouts at that event as well. Thursday is air quality education and monitoring. I'll speak to that in a minute. And Friday is smoke and indoor air pollution. So with these themes, we're trying to think of events that we could do, or at least communications that we can do on those individual days. Like I mentioned, we're partnering with others that are on the AQTC to help spread the word. And so if there's anyone here who I haven't connected with yet and you'd like to do something for Air Quality Awareness Week, we are here to support you. I'm saying we, me and Kenzie, because we're doing the work on planning, support you in terms of maybe manpower for tabling events. Also, we can provide resources, communication resources, build handouts. And I'm also going to be sending everyone sort of a communications package, and that's going to have a social media guide, some print handouts that you can use, and also some images that you can use in creating your own branded communications. So I'll send that out via email, but I'm going to pause there. Is anyone interested in doing an air quality awareness event that you'd like our support with? You haven't had a chance to think of that yet, I know, but putting you on the spot, anyone have any thoughts on that? We have a lot of ideas too, if you don't have any ideas, but you're interested. Okay. Well, if something comes up, please reach out to me. We want to sort of make it an event here in our region, and I cannot do that without partners. So I'll send out the communications package, and at a minimum, we're hoping that folks can use your communication channels to get the word out, just education. With that, is when I send out this communication package, are there any things that we can provide specifically that would be helpful for your communications? Specific handouts, logos, anything? Okay. Well, I will send what I have, and let me know if you need something else. All right. That's it for Air Quality Awareness Week then, unless anyone has questions or thoughts. Go ahead, Dina. Dina, I don't know if you're talking, but oh, there you go.
Sorry, for some reason, Teams is not letting me change settings on my, anyway, regardless, can you speak a little bit to your involvement with like the news media with this? Are you partnering with the state and engaging them? Are you reaching out to them yourself? How are you involving the news media?
We have not reached out to them yet. We've had conversations internally about how we're going to be doing that.
Okay, and are you partnering then with MMT to try to jointly put messaging out and any messaging maybe on the sides of the buses?
We are partnering with Mountain Metro to do that tabling event. We could talk to them about doing some messaging in the buses as well if they're interested in that.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing on that. We would also like to do an event with libraries. Thinking if they could do like a themed sort of book section on air quality or something like that. We also have an air quality bookmark that we could hand out and some print book materials that we could hand out. So I don't have a specific contact at the library district, and they're a huge entity to reach out to just sort of blindly. So I'm curious if anyone here has an in with the library or a specific contact at the library that we could reach out to.
This is Katie again. I have a contact. I'm happy to introduce you via email, or if you want me to pass on the information, whatever works best. So I can connect with you after the meeting on that.
That'd be really helpful. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Okay, then moving on from Air Quality Awareness Week, we are working on a air quality website. The point of this is to have sort of a one-stop shop for all of your air quality information. It's not going to be the single source of information. We're going to point to other resources and programs in the region, probably CDPHE as well for resources, Mountain Metro, public health, all that. But we wanted a regionally branded air quality messaging resource for people that is easily recognizable, something that rolls off the tongue, something that people can recognize as a resource for air quality information. So the website will have things like educational resources, information on our air quality status. And this is not just ozone, but yes, we're concerned about ozone. It's all of the air quality things we need to think about. And then other regional resources and programs. It would be a website that PPACG manages, and but would point to, of course, all of, like I said, our other regional resources. So we are putting together a draft version of this website. Keep in mind, it is in the beginning stages of what we hope it will be. But we're going to be asking for your feedback on the website, things you want to include, information you want to include, links and pointing to other resources you'd like to include, anything that you think would be helpful, or if there's something you're working on that you want to let people know about. We're looking for that feedback. So I'll be sending that out soon. We're in the process of building a little draft website. Any initial thoughts on that website? Okay, more to come. With the website, then we need a website name. So we're thinking something that is, regionally branded. And we came up with these are the best shots that we took at naming our website. So throwing it out here to the AQTC, do you have other suggestions for website names? And letting you know, we're going to put this all into a poll and send it out for you to vote on. The AQTC is going to pick the name. Who's the most creative? We had to think about it for a while too, so you probably need to think about it. Good point. There was a comment that Summit air quality sounds like Summit County.
I just wanted to generally say I'm really excited about everything that you're sharing in the meeting. I am so excited about the idea of just an organized section at the library that speaks to air quality during Air Quality Week. I really like the idea of branding the website and creating the central resource. I'm excited to see the other outreach tools that are being created. So really, really good stuff in the meeting today. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'll be sending out a poll next week. So if you have an idea for an a name of our regionally branded air quality website. This is ours. Please send your ideas to me. We want it to be something that, is a resource for all of us to get this information out.
Just one random thought that just popped in my head. I know that there's a regional visioning effort that's going on right now. It just got kicked off by the Pikes Peak Community Foundation, and they cleverly stole a really good name that would tie in with what we're talking about here. But they're using the name Our Spacious Skies, which comes from America the Beautiful, wonderful song written by Catherine Lee Bates over 100 years ago. So I don't know if there's something around related to I forgot what I was going to say. Our Spacious Skies. If there's something, a co-name or other name related to clean air there, Our Clean Skies, or something like that. Just don't have a solution. Just thought I'd throw that out there just for consideration.
That's a good suggestion. We can think on that one and come up with something clever.
But I like Peak Air. If we do something kind of related to Pikes Peak, yeah, that would be nice.
Any other just thought paths that sound good? Like the Our Spacious Skies is a great suggestion. Any other thing that kind of comes to mind, but you don't have it exactly yet? Okay, so we'll send these out. Send me your suggestions by Friday, please. And we'll send out a poll next week. Also on the website, our website is going to need a logo, something that just looks good, because we're going to have it on print resources that we hand out. And just maybe we'll have a t-shirt. I don't know. Probably not. But we're going to need a really good looking logo for this website that's, catches people's eyes and gets them interested. So this summer, we're looking to do an art competition to develop the logo for the website. That will be open. We're not going to be doing it specifically with schools. We thought of doing that, but there's some challenges with taking that avenue. So we're going to open it to the public. We have a lot of good artists in our community. So that is an FYI. More so, we'll be wanting some help with spreading the word about that art contest. So more to come on that. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the meantime. Okay. Any last things on the air quality website before we move on? Okay, great. The last thing then on the agenda is our April meeting. So our meeting for April is scheduled on April 23rd. I actually have a conflict for some water quality work that I also work on, and will not be able to do that meeting. Does anyone have strong preferences on either rescheduling or canceling that meeting? I will point out that is 1 week before Air Quality Awareness Week, in case we wanted to sort of touch base on events for that week. But opening it up to the group if there's things you think you'll want to talk about in April.
Angie,
Right, so we could reschedule it to the following week if you're interested.
Hi, Angie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there a date already scheduled for the proclamation signing?
For the one that would be signed by our board, that'll be on April, I forget the date. Is that the 9th?
Whatever the second Wednesday of April. How about that for our cop out?
Yeah, so second Wednesday in April. I think it's the 9th. We're doing it a little bit early with our board because the board meeting in May is actually the week after Air Quality Awareness Week. So we thought that's not going to work. So yeah, but it's the second Wednesday in April.
That is the 9th. And we can share that with you all when we've brought that to them, in case you want to. I think Dwayne, you were thinking of doing a news release on that. So if anyone else wants to do one as well, we'd appreciate it. Okay, thoughts on the rescheduling the April meeting or canceling? We could do the following week if anyone's interested. I know we love these meetings, so you can't wait to get here.
It might be beneficial to go ahead and have it the week prior to Air Week, just in case we have new people coming. If something develops, then we'd be able to share, you know, the packages with them and get them going so they could just disseminate that information the following week, even if it was a little bit less formal than the rest of us have planned.
Okay, we got one vote for keeping it, so that's currently the winning vote. I will send out a poll for meeting time on the following week. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Cool. Okay, then our information items I already shared about air quality outreach materials and feedback. But I do have one announcement not on the agenda that I would like to make. So we are currently, PPACG is working on some funding through the Office of Innovative Mobility to do a TDM, Transportation Demand Management study, and potentially setting up a transportation management organization that would sort of implement the TDM strategies that come out of that. So it's something we're currently looking into. That'll be a regional effort, and we want to get everyone involved.
Doing a briefing in April, just to get him up to speed on the challenges we have, the economic consequences if we end up in non-attainment. So we do have a date on the calendar, and it's actually before, if we end up meeting with this group on April 30th, it's before that date, obviously in April. But happy to report back out how that conversation goes. So really happy to hear that he has an interest in finding out what's going on in the region in this regard, and hopefully what he feels he can do about it as far as helping us with our engagement and our conversations with EPA and our other partners across the Intermountain West.
Fort Carson also had an RFI from a congressman in, I think, Weld County, actually, regarding some implementation for some reductions for pathway reductions for emissions. So, and whether or not we were, you know, looking at those avenues. So we've had some curious minds.
Go ahead, Bob.
We've had similar ones from Congressman Crank and senators from California, Alabama, Florida, and Virginia, as well as regional air quality issues at Peterson. So Congress is starting to look at this.
Thanks for that. Dina?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight for folks, if you were not aware, the Air Pollution Control Division is holding a stakeholder meeting. I think they've got two scheduled for April 21st and then April 26th. I can't seem to get the chat to open up, but if you Google APCD stakeholder engagement, you'll come to a website, and if you look at April, they've got the information posted, and it's related to emergency generator use. It had a forgiveness on certain high pollution days, and so just wanted to highlight that for the military installations. Make sure that you're tracking that, and then potentially, if you've got data on use of those engines on certain days in the summer months, that might be good to start gathering that information in response to whatever the division is going to be proposing.
Okay, great. Any others? All right then. I will, last thing on the agenda is our meeting schedule. We already talked about that, so that brings us to adjournment unless anyone has last thoughts. Looks good in the room. Looks good online. Okay, well, we'll see you in April. Thanks, everybody.